This podcast replay is brought to you by Choice Mortgage Bank. Call Michael Kotze right now, 561-441-2730. State rates under 3.5%. 561-441-2730 for Choice Mortgage Bank.
Friend of the program, Matt is always kind enough to join us. Locally, nationally, whenever we're rocking, he is always ready to rock and always nice enough to join us. Matt, you can follow Matt Chatham on Twitter at Chatham58. You can catch him with one of his 77 jobs, including on Nesson and The Athletic. Former NFLer himself, and kind enough now to join us. Matt, did you bring your camera with you on this interview?
Morning, Big O. No, we all have them now because we all have cell phones. There isn't a human on earth, I think, walking around who doesn't.
That's right. Now, Matt, there's a part of me that kind of says, I don't think Belichick really knew about this, but unfortunately, because of the track record, the plausible deniability crap is not going to fly here, and this becomes a culture thing. We talk about culture in a positive sense. This kind of becomes a negative culture thing. Has Belichick created the culture that opens it up for anybody to try to cheat in that organization to get any kind of an edge, even though deep down inside we all know that that's not the reason why they're winning 4,000 titles?
Yeah, I personally just have a problem with the word cheat. I know there'll be people that disagree with me, and I understand that. But the whole notion of cheating is that there's some sort of competitive advantage. And what they are guilty of 12 years ago was breaking a rule that hadn't been codified. And I think that was a lot of the big argument at the first Spygate thing, because the game operations manual that governs this kind of stuff was exclusively written for broadcast rights. And there was no language relative to this. So brand new Commissioner Goodell sends out a memo and says, hey, we're no longer going to do that at all. And Coach Belichick decided, no, we do this. We know lots of teams do this, and this isn't covered in the manual that governs us, so we're going to continue to do it. So we defied it, right? So that's how it started. But I think the thing that aggravates me the most about this, and in full disclosure, when I played for the Jets, the 3 years I was there, Matt Estrella, the cameraman who was caught in the first Spygate thing, is directly on the sideline pointing right across from me. So I've always been kind of annoyed with the idea that spy was sort of the brand that it was given. It was in plain sight of all of us. There's 80,000 people can see it. You get no different perspective from that camera than all the other people there, coaches, scouts, and fans. So it's not cheating. What it is a clerical advantage. Basically, everything you would get from visually seeing a signal, again, all 80,000 people can watch over them and watch a coach make gestures. What you do is you write it down. You say, hey, he touched his elbow, then he touched his head, and they ran cover two. Write it down. When you video it, then you just go look at that same thing and write down the identical thing. So it's at the end of the day, the piece of information gets identical. So the notion that it was recorded or not, there is no competitive advantage in that. It just kind of helps the intern in the middle of the night that has to process it all. So I say that, and when you're talking about culture, you're using that as sort of the foundation to all this, that there was a cheat. There wasn't a cheat. There was certainly a defiance of the league, but there's no on-field advantage, say, compared to the Cardinals stuff, where you're hacking into sort of information databases, or the Houston Astros thing, where they're actually stealing a signal, putting it into a monitor in a hallway behind a locker room, and then signaling to the person at bat. That's cheating. That's real stuff. This stuff isn't that. So this is very little anything, and then it begat other little things that now are even less than that, because now the signals come in digitally, so there's no signaling on the sideline. So it's much ado about nothing, but I think the perception has sort of run away, and it's kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle.
Right. That's what I think is going to be the problem there, Matt. It's because of the track record, and then everybody's going to say it's habitual, and it's also going to say it's cultural, and then it falls under Belichick, whether he likes it or he doesn't. It doesn't matter. The captain of the Exxon Valdez, if he wasn't driving the ship, it didn't matter. It was his ship that got grounded, that ended up with the oil spillage, and so you're the dude that's going to end up paying the price. The question is, how far does the NFL go here with Belichick? Because if you suspended Sean Payton for Bountygate, how do you not suspend Belichick for this?
because it has nothing to do with football operations. I think they clearly see that, and there's plenty of examples of this where if they were to do anything like that, it would be crazy and unfounded based upon the evidence. I think if you look at some of the best examples, or we know that was, I believe it was the was it Vikings and Titans, something like that. And when all this talk about the ball deflation and stuff was going on years ago, there was that thing caught on camera, everyone talking about it, and they were on the sideline warming the balls with the hand warmers, which is completely legal, shown in plain sight. And they decided, yeah, technically it's illegal, and technically both of the organizations should have to pay for it, but they didn't. They just gave them warnings, because and the reality of it is they use their discretion when it's warranted to do so. I think in this particular situation, especially for someone who works in media, we all know this. There are business units that have nothing to do with one another. So you do have to do an investigation. I'm not saying that. They obviously have to look into it and ensure that their story was correct. When they confirm the story, that, yeah, a digital media company that has zero interaction with football operations, it's just not, there's no connection between A and B. So maybe they're going to be fined for the reason of the broadcast rights things where this thing all started. You're just not supposed to stick a camera on there regardless of the lack of competitive advantage anymore. But how would one connect that to Belichick? You just can't do that. I think the other example is the Giants with the whole, the headphones continuing to go on and continue to use that information after they're supposed to be shut off at the 15-second mark. That was the McAdoo thing from a couple of years ago. They looked into it. They said it wasn't purposeful. They certainly did it. That's wrong. You'll be fined. But you don't escalate it to a level that it wasn't. And I work for KSP, and any of your listeners should know that. So I work for this company. I know this producer that was there really well. And the confusion, the reality of the situation, and I think it's why the investigation is so important to do, is they have rights in game at home. They have special broadcast rights. Does Crash Sports Productions to film the sidelines. They're actually allowed to do this at home, specifically themselves and NFL media. And what this is for in-game scenics. You film the sideline, you feel the coaches talking to one another, you film the coaches talking to the players. They're allowed to shoot behind the bench. They're the only entity other than the NFL themselves that are allowed to do it. So The Athletic, we had the reporting on this. This is what happened. That guy who does this on a weekly basis at home was sent on location elsewhere, and he didn't understand that he couldn't continue to do that elsewhere, which makes sense because he was credentialed by the home team there to come and do it, and they were fully aware of the documentary. So it's an accident. It's just silly that it got to this level. But I think people like the potential scandal idea and love to get caught up in the story of it. But there's just no there.
He did sound kind of guilty. Like, hey, you know what I mean? When they approached him, he was like, well, no, I can erase it, and, I won't have, and that's where I think also, Matt, that's the optics of it, the way he needed to have a little more authority, like the way you're explaining it and what his job is, and maybe he would have looked a lot different, but that's the other thing. He probably should have shut up because he kept opening his mouth and probably digging himself deeper. But that's the part that I think if you're on the Patriots side, you're cringing because he's obviously nervous and he sounds guilty, unfortunately.
No, he sounds remorseful, and he sounded very nervous, of course. I don't like that the NFL does it the way this happens. And, again, why NFL, baseball, hockey, any other sports, do we ever get these situations where the league leaks a portion of a video, cuts it up to sort of air balloon a narrative out there, figure out the public response, and then decide their punishment later? I hate it when they do this stuff, but they're doing it here again. And the reality of it is it's cut up, and he says this over and over, and even in the cut-up portion they give us, I'm sorry, I didn't know. I was allowed to be here. We're shooting scenics. And even the security official, he has no idea what's going on. He doesn't understand TV. Right. And he says, hey, I don't see the scout. Well, where's the scout? The scout's not physically supposed to be there. You're filming his view, his eyesight, his perspective. So a TV person, trying to explain this to someone playing Gestapo, it's going to get mangled. But the ultimate thing is, I didn't know. It's not that big a deal. We're allowed to be here. What are we talking about? Yeah, go ahead, edit it. Or, delete it. It's of no use. I work for the media company. I don't have anything to do with football. That's who the gentleman was that was there that day. So with two freelancers who have even less of a clue about NFL rules, and that was, that's the part that's aggravating me. They go, I'm in the media area every weekend. Every one of these games, and The idea of someone setting up a tripod in full view of the whole media with a monitor,
Sounds
with the
crazy.
camera. I mean, come on, it's just not, this isn't espionage. It was a mistake. And in normal circumstances in any other building, they say, hey, you can't do that. Look at the rules on the wall. If you weren't familiar with them, I know our people of media relations would walk up and not allow it. Instead, it was, hey, everyone draw back and start videotaping. We got them. It's just silly.
I just love the line of the security guy playing Gestapo. I love it. And yesterday, Matt, they had to come out and kick their ass because if they struggled to beat Cincinnati or lost to Cincinnati, can you imagine how much bigger the story gets?
Now it's unfortunate things work that way, but I think from a strictly football standpoint, as I was studying that week, there was a possibility of a close game. I think that's kind of been the frustrating narrative if you're coming from that market. The Bengals have been a bad team. I wouldn't argue they were good or anything like that. The record is what the record is, but they had played Seattle to a 1-point loss, a 1-score loser to Baltimore, a close game with Pittsburgh. It was like a 6-point or something like that. Down the line, there was 4, 5, 6 of these in that range where they're 1-score losers. So they keep coming in these games and playing ugly with good teams, but never coming away with a victory. So the idea that the Patriots had a couple rough outings in a row could have plausibly gone in there and had a dogfight with them and come out with a close win. But I thought the thing that was most instructive to all this is when all the reporting came out on this stuff about, they're still taping the sidelines, and I just didn't think the audience understood that there are no signals on the sidelines anymore to grab. So it was really easy for us to just say, hey, let's all stare at the sidelines for the next 3.5 hours. Stare right there. Use your binoculars, use your eyeballs, and see that there's nothing going on there. So I think that's the most important information. If we're going to do a sort of an investigation about a murder, we need a dead person. We can't keep looking for something that's not there. So that's the thing to me that's so crazy. I understand this in 2007. There are no sideline signals anymore, folks. The jig's up. I don't know what else to talk about.
Matt Chatham joining us, of course, friend of the program. You could follow him on Twitter at Chatham58. Catch his work at Nesson, The Athletic, and always kind enough to join us here on the program. Matt, are you concerned right now about their offense? Because I don't think it's the demise of the Patriots or anything like that, but it has been a little bit of a challenge for them on offense. And I know this past week against Cincinnati may not be a good measuring stick, but as we get into the playoffs, how concerned are you that there isn't a lot of explosion on this offense?
Well, what I would say would be a reasonable concern is that they go from where we're standing today to an offense that, through a 3-game run, if you're so fortunate to go that far, could put 30 up each week, right? I think the concern is just where the point A is to where you'd finally end up. But that doesn't mean they can't play winning football. I think we're just talking about a different brand of Patriot stuff.
Yes.
Very, very, very heavily defensively led, extremely good and disruptive special teams, and an offense that just needs to be good enough situationally. Needs to run the football, needs to control clock, needs to be better in the red zone. So I think from the perspective here, yesterday was a great step in that. Nope, not 400 yards offense, not a high flying through the air kind of stuff, but the positive things they have, they're kind of still in their infancy stage, which need to pick up quickly. I know we're running out of time here.
Go ahead.
N'Keal Harry looked tremendous yesterday, but again, he was a 4-touch guy. So their first rounder is just starting to get his toe in the water. And what can they come up with in a few weeks' time? And can Mohamed Sanu get fully healthy? Julian was very limited yesterday. So, yeah, all these things got to come together, and that's kind of what's cool about the NFL tournament. It's part what you did during the year, but it's kind of what stage are you at when you arrive in the final thing.
So are you telling me this is kind of the Corey Dillon, Jermaine Wiggins, Troy Brown type offense and team? Like it reminds you of that team that wasn't a great offensive team, but it relied a lot on running and defense and special teams and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of championship hardware around that formula in Foxborough. So you don't have to lead the league in scoring to take home a ring. I think they know that well. So it's starting to feel that way. But I mean, even saying that, the offense still wants to be better as far as red zone efficiency. I mean, technically yesterday they're 1 for 1. But I believe it was 2 drives that they had that got into what, from football parlance, we really consider the red zone inside the 30, and they don't track it that way with stats. So twice they got inside the 30, but then had to kick field goals. So you just got to be better there. Once you get the better opportunities, you get the turnover on. They had the special teams turnover. They take over the ball right there, advance no yards, and have to kick a field goal. So it's stuff like that. It's not filling up the scorecard. Just when you get the opportunities, make the most of them, and you can outpace most teams doing that. When you get to the final one, you're going to have to be on point, maybe even a little better than that. But I think that's where they are right now.
All right, Matt. So get me excited about the future, okay? Is this the end of the run finally? So my Dolphins, can have some hope here down the line because we hear Brady's house is for sale. We hear the trainer's house is for sale. His contract is set to be a standout free agent at the end of the year. He drops out of the big buddy thing as the president. He's just going to do national stuff now. We're 2 years now removed from the whole Garoppolo incident. My brother, there's like a lot of stuff that we can create to say they're parting ways. The divorce is coming. What's your gut tell you, my brother?
That they haven't decided. that's the unfortunate part. We're all going to sort of sit here and lingo and not know. And Tom's been over the top with that, and his representatives have been over the top with that. The team has even said, you know what, when the B season began, we decided not to decide until after the year. So we get to wait. And I think one of the things you always have to realize with a guy that's in Tom's stage of life, we're the same age. He's 42 and change, and he's you're putting your real estate, you're putting your life, you're sort of living, when you are forced to live year to year at that age, you're doing things a little differently than the 24-year-old in the room, or even the 28-year-old who just got the new big deal. So things are different. So I wouldn't read too much into any of that stuff. In a minute, he can buy a different place a little closer to the stadium because his old house is pretty far, and just do this year to year from now on. But those are the things that are going to be determined down the road. And I think they honestly don't know, and he doesn't know, and the team doesn't know, and they're probably going to let this thing run out. It'll probably come down to numbers, length of time, things like that, but those are so difficult to project from an organizational standpoint, I can imagine, at that age. How do you do a multi-year? How do you formulate it so it's fair to the player and protects you as well? And they're in uncharted waters, I think we'll say that. But my gut is he'll be back, but how exactly they frame it, I don't have a clue. Yeah, that's okay.
So you think he will be back, huh? Damn it. Why can't he just leave, bro? Just leave.
You know what? You got B-Flow down there. He's doing great things. I love Devontae Parker's had his sort of emergence here under a new staff. They're going to have to figure out who the quarterback is long term, but I don't think you need Tom to go away to have good times. I think they just build you and don't worry about the other part. I think the Bills are doing that really well right themselves. They don't need the other team to go away to start to advance the charts. I think what Brian's got going on now, the way he's cleared things out and has a lot of draft equity now, don't worry about the Tom part. Just do you.
All right. Well, I still got to. It's been a freaking nightmare in my life for 20 years, man. What are you talking about? I can't forget. I just can't forget about that, bro. It's painful, man. Painful, bro. It's painful. Us in the Dolphin Nation, we want to get over this already and get rid of this guy. You know what I'm saying?
At the end of the day, just walk outside. You're where you're at's nicer than where I'm at. Just always remember that.
Yeah, I know, but I'd like to be where I'm at with a Super Bowl trophy and a parade. Just one, bro. I'm 53. Matt, I'm just asking for one. Just asking for one, dude. You guys have like 800 over there. I just want one before I check out. That's it. One Dolphin championship. And by the way, man, I got to say something. And I'm not going to do it after the first year, but I'm getting close to it because I don't like to get excited. Even if a player plays one good year, I have this saying, because I've been doing this for 30 years, any pro can have a good week, a good month, a good year. The real pros are the guys that come back to second and third years and do it. That's when I believe. And I'll believe next year fully, but damn, I'm getting close. I think we got ourselves a coach. I think we actually took away a decent coach from Belichick that, Vrabel and him, I think, are the guys that are making the transition, dude. I like what I've seen from Flores, bro. A lot.
There's reason to. I think he's a really heavily principled man. He's a guy that played at Boston College. He's a guy that came up from straight scraps in coaching. You have to run the bottom of the chain here. And I just kind of like his demeanor. He's a really good dude. was heavily involved in the community here. His brother with the Hockomock YMCA here near Foxborough, so got to know him a little off the field from that stuff. And just he's good people, and he's trying to do it his way. He's not walking down and trying to mimic Bill, and sometimes I think that's gotten some people in trouble. But I think if you actually look in the division, I like Sean McDermott a lot too. In part because I know people make fun of the culture idea, but it is that, you really have to kind of have a no-nonsense approach, clean house with the guys you think fit that, and then get rid of the ones that don't. And it does kind of come about the personality of the head coach, and I think that's in division we're sort of sitting at a nice 3 out of 4 spot as far as guys who are doing it that way.
Hey, listen, you don't have to remember we have the heat here. We have Pat Riley. We know culture, dude. No, seriously. I mean, we had Shula here. We know what culture we know what real culture is when you have it. It's that's not a word that people, I know they throw it around all over the place and people try to achieve it and all of that, but it can be achieved. It has been achieved in certain areas. The Ravens have had a culture since Ozzie Newsome has been there for 20 plus years, and now it'll continue since he left. But that's we had it here with Shula, obviously Riley and the Heat. I mean, that's them, and the San Antonio Spurs are the ultimate example of culture in the NBA. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And in 1 year, in less than a year, I think Brian Flores has already kind of established a sense of culture here with the Dolphins, believe it or not.
I kind of think, Big O, that some of this stuff pays off. I mean, this is just my own personal experience from the first year when we kind of sucked. We did in 2000 when Bill first came here, but that group was 5-11. Very little was expected of us. We accomplished very little. But if you look back years later in championship seasons that we have with the team, the 1-1 and then 3-4, it was sort of who was left from that first year. And that first year, a lot was sort of him, working the roster over, deciding who he wanted his guys to be, and sort of latching onto those people and then sort of setting the message through them. So it'll be interesting to see who Beefalo hangs on to from this season. If you were to fast forward here, 2 seasons or whatever with him, and who are those 12 to 15 guys that he leans upon? They don't have to be the stars necessarily, just his leaders, but then also the solid pros too. So that's kind of how it works. You use this year to kind of do some weeding, I guess, is one way to look at it. And there is value in that. And it's especially impressive when you can win during the weeding process. And not necessarily win every week, but he's been competitive, which I think is more than a lot would have expected with the roster turnover they had.
Oh, dude, man, we had people here talking about, like, yesterday was a setback, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? This team has no talent compared to the other 31 teams in the NFL. What I love what they did is, Matt, and this is what I don't think people understand. They tore it all the way down to the bone, and they're building an expansion team, but they're building it through youth. Because as you know, Matt, regular expansion teams, you got some youth, and then you got a whole bunch of veteran guys that are, from different teams, and they give you the leadership, and they give you that foundation. Flores and Greer are like, no. We're going to build all young guys, and then we're going to figure out which are the young guys we like. We'll keep those, and we'll get rid of the others. And those are the guys we're going to start to build this foundation on. That's what people don't understand, that to win under those circumstances with youth, inexperience, and lack of talent, it is truly amazing what Brian Flores and his staff have done this year.
Yeah, and I think the thing to keep an eye on, and that, personally, just because I like the guy, I think you need to ace the management portion of it, the cap management. So it's great to get the culture, but you can't have really bad spends. You can't have one of those years where you go out and crush free agency and fill up the roster with 6 or 7 guys who you end up keeping a third of them 2 years later. So it's being judicious in your moves from that point when you create the culture and go young, and don't waste it, use it. So use it wisely, and I suspect he will. So I like Brian, so I hope he does well.
Always Studley on the show. Matt Chatham, follow him on Twitter at Chatham58. You can catch him on Nesson and The Athletic, covering the Patriots that have been our nightmare for 20 years down here in South Florida. Matt, love you, brother. Thank you for always taking time, man. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care, Big O. See you.
You got it, baby. There you go. Matt Chatham, man. He is always fantastic. Always love having him on.
That's pretty entertaining, man.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. He's a really, really good dude.
I could tell as soon as he answered the phone when I called him. He's like, dude, this guy's cool.
Yeah, he's a good dude.